when you're homeschooling, the amount you can get done in one-on-one time with your kids, you can do it in an hour and it's equivalent to what they get taught in a whole day at school. A lot of people have just gone down the road of clickbaiting thumbnails, and so you've got no genuine audience that's gonna support you in any way other than trying to find your bum crack. It's the job, mate, and literally. It's also gross and grubby, and I'm a bit of a germaphobe. I don't want my kids anywhere near that. Yeah, geez, you could get Croc off some of that gear. By the time your kids are 12, you've spent like the 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. I want to raise good kids and better humans and ones that have cool experiences and that sort of stuff. And I think I've ticked off a lot of those in the first short 12 years of their life. So that's a big win for me.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are on the couch, or virtual couch this time, with Justin from TripInAVan. He's up north at his house. We couldn't get him all the way down today, but thought we'd grab him on here. I've got a bunch of questions to ask. I'm sure all of you guys have had many questions over the years as well, so I'm keen to tick off a few of them today. But thanks for jumping on board, Justin.
No worries, Dino. Thanks for joining me in my humble shed, mate, in my little...
Looks good. Looks really good. That Chevy behind you looks good, mate. So Justin's our newest ambassador, R&D ambassador. Just jumped in the Chevy 2500 of his, and it's definitely looking the part. You've even managed to keep that black thing clean.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's actually filthy, but I'm lucky that it's low light. So yeah, it looks good. But even I've found that if you get it a little bit dirty, it looks terrible. But if you get it really dirty, it kind of looks good. So you just leave it really dirty. And then
there you go, guys. If you've got a black Chevy, just make it really dirty and it looks good. Don't try to keep it clean all the time. It's either clean or it's dirty.
Find a bit of clay, like muddy clay, and just get a few, drive through it. You get a couple of spats up the side, and then it's like, yeah, that's it.
Shoot, it's like it belongs.
Yeah.
Like it belongs.
All right, hit me with a few questions.
I jumped on, I'm trying to limit my time on social media lately, but I jumped online and saw a big cleared pad or some awesome looking land. What's the go there?
Yeah, we've had that for a while, but I'm just putting a shed on it. So, nice. And then Beck's running with, we're going to flick this joint eventually and move out and have a shed and a house. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, we're in way over our head, mate. Never done it before, have no idea what we're doing or how to plan shit. So it's just been
a bit of a laugh at that on some of the comments. We need help.
Yeah, got absolutely no idea. So just anyway, just trying to, you don't want to fuck it up. It's like a lot of time and effort and stuff, and you don't want to regret anything. So we're just trying our best. Yeah.
Yeah, but with that, I suppose it'd be a different feeling. A lot of people over the last, how many years you've been on the road traveling now?
We did 7 full time, and then probably 2.5 on and off, like doing like school holidays and taking them out for a term and all that and putting them back in. But yeah, we've been here where we are at home base for nearly 3 years on and off. Yeah.
And then you've got some family based here in Queensland, don't you?
Yeah, I got my parents and my sister Brizzy Way, Sunshine Coast. Yeah. So it's not too far away from us at the Sunshine Coast either. Yeah.
Yeah. No, awesome. No, it looks like a good little property. And I was about to say, like, you've been on the road for 7 years. Obviously, your whole life for the last 7 years has been people asking you questions about how do we do this? What are your tips and advice here when it comes to living on the road? And now the card's been flipped and you're asking the same sort of questions back to people that have cleared a land and built a shed or built a house on it. What are you doing there? How do we? You're asking the favour in return now, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we sort of did. I didn't think of it that way. We know we've got a huge community that have got a lot of, everyone's got their own story and experience, but the feedback's been pretty astounding of how much others want to help. And then you hear a lot of stories that we sort of take it for granted on how many times or how many people have gone traveling and changed their life from taking inspiration from what we do. So we're getting a lot of these people like get in touch from just us asking for sort of recommendations on what to do here and there, with just these big, like really heartfelt messages of like thanks and offering their feedback and help and support back, because they got so much out of watching us go, and they've gone and done a trip and it's changed their lives, and they've moved different places and they've had all these experiences and they're super thankful. So now they're like, oh, this would be cool. Like, you did all that for us for free. So I'm actually like people like drafties and landscapers and pool builders, like they're not going to do anything, you're not going to build a pool for you, but they've got all the knowledge and experience to be like, oh, don't do this, you'll regret it. Like, go and do this, use this material. Like, for the whole, from the shed slab to the like landscaping and that, we've had so many people of our followers and stuff just get in touch and with great info. So it's good. It's like a good peace of mind thing, knowing that whatever we do, we're researching pretty thoroughly, and we've got bloody dozens and dozens of different people's takes on it and experiences to pull from. So it's good, mate. It's real good.
That's awesome. We just touched on, just before we started recording here today, we just touched on a bit of the AI in the world and how scary it's getting. It sounds like you need to throw a few of those comments back into the system and get some break it down a little bit. I'm sure the amount of advice and that community that you built, I can only imagine how many people have reached out and done exactly that, which must feel pretty awesome, like you just said, like having the amount of people with different views and opinions, and a lot of people out there in their own profession would have stuffed up multiple times and know what's going to work and what's not going to work. So yeah, it's bloody awesome, mate. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, and like I say, like we've helped heaps from the same similar questions, like, like what size van should we get? How big a battery do we need? How many solar panels? Like, where do you go? What sort of suspension? What do you do with the kids? Like, all that sort of real life experience and knowledge we had. We've been like writing blogs and videos and text messages and DMs and everything for years and years, and you just becomes normal. You forget how much help you're actually putting out there. So yeah, it was good. It's good to know.
That's awesome, mate. That's really cool. And speaking of that truck and the driving, obviously last time we sat in front of each other, you were driving out the door in a bit of an unknown land, unknown world, the big Chevy, mate. How's what's been happening since you've driven out of Big Dog Build's workshop with the new Chev?
I've been wishing my canopy would hurry up every day since I've got it. No, I'm struggling with tub life, mate. I knew I would, and I don't. It's annoying to say, I think, because a lot of people will be like, you whinger. But after having a train canopy for so long, you sort of it changes the whole way you use your vehicle and the way you go about it. So it's a struggle.
Yeah, but I suppose on that, like there was enough just to power your fridge. So you knew it was always going to be a temporary option. So enough power to run the fridge in the back. But then obviously you didn't have any idea how to pack that thing, which is quite funny on your first video. Just threw all this stuff from Anaconda in the back and off you went. But what's the biggest thing? Just having a spot for everything and a water tap, or what's the biggest sort of headache, I suppose?
I think it's mainly just, nothing's got its own place, and there's such a big tub, and unless you spent some real time in there trying to put tie down points in and different stuff, but even then you got to climb over one thing to get to another. Your fridge is like, unless you pop the tailgate, roll the tailgate cover back, then hop up and open your fridge, it's like a 4-step process just to get something out of your fridge. And then all your other gear that was at the back when you pull up somewhere is now at the front, and then it's like and you got tubs, so everything that's in there is in a tub, so the tub has to come out, which then has to get open, then find what you got. Like everything gets double handled in a tub, and it's fine, I suppose, if that's all you get used to it, and if you go away on weekends and all that. But if you want to use it a lot, and I'm just used to it. I've been very lucky, and I've had a train canopy set up for so long. It's a big adjustment period, trying to learn how to use a tub. But other than that, it's been great. The missus loves it. I thought, sure, she was a bit worried too about it being a bit big and like being a bit trucky, but it's actually very nice to drive, as in super light steering and the driving position and how it feels and the dimensions and that. It doesn't drive as big as it looks, if that's one way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. So apart from tight shopping centres, and that's about it. Yeah. It's really no different to what we had in the 200, but it's just, you just pick your shopping centre visits, obviously. Just park out in the truck area or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I talk to people about that on a daily as well. Like between my wife and I, she drives the ZR2 1500, which obviously still isn't a HD truck. Not a lot difference. People freak out sometimes between jumping into that 15, thinking that's all they can get from a size perspective, but jumping up to the 2500. In my opinion, it's not that much bigger at all. But even in that, again, if you're going to drive into town, into a tight shopping centre car park that you've never been to before, it's obviously something that you just have to put that little bit more caution on. She swaps for my mighty Suzuki Jimny on those little trips, mate. So we
that's
get the
the
car
go.
swap, and then I put my foot down and realise what a V8 feels like.
What, in the Jimny?
No, the Chevy.
Yeah.
The Jimny's anything but. I think I can ride the push bike quicker, but it makes you smile. So. So Norweld obviously still speaking to you, mate. You haven't been bugging them too much to get into this new canopy?
No, it's good. It should be on its way somewhere between Cairns and Brizzy now, I think, at the moment.
Nice.
They've done another stellar job as usual, so that'll be cool. We just got to, between you and me, try and logistically plan how we get these other jobs done at the same time with, resetting the suspension and getting a front bar on it and a bit of paint protection before the canopy goes on. And we don't want to try and ship it around too many times to the same spots, just try and work out a process that works. But
100%.
No, it'll be good. It'll go real well. But before I forget about you're talking about what I'm liking about this thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's only two things that have been annoying, right? And that's the tub, which is like whatever. Yep. I'm a whinger. Yep. And number two, it's a funny one, but it's not funny. It's just it's so little, which is a good thing. Is the freaking how you they've got the windscreen wiper switch on the indicator stalk, and it's every time you can flick it and it'll touch the thing and your wipers come on at the same time. You've got to really learn to just tap the end of the stalk. And I'm like, what's going on here? But it's just, I'll learn that too. But that's pretty good for like a new car, a big car that I've never had. There's only one annoying thing, and that's
There's a silly tub on the back, and when there's a bit of bird shit on the windscreen, I smear it because I don't know what handle to touch.
No, it's just every time I go around the corner, I'm turning windscreen wipers on. Yeah,
that's gold.
Because it's just on a little. If you know what they are, they're on a little finger dial, and about 10 mil in from the end of the stalk, and you always tap them. And I'm like, that's anyway, gold. I'll get there too. But that's pretty good, eh? Only two little wingies. Good. Yeah.
So you went up on a hill, and you actually jumped on a video and had Mr. Chef Ant Healy come on the first trip that you went up on the hill. He's been in our life a little bit as well. He's popped up in both of our lives. He's a bit of a legend. He's a good one to hang around, but not too good when it comes to the size of the belly.
No, he's all right. I haven't had too many indulgent meals yet, but I tell you, you wouldn't want to stop eating with Ant around. But it's funny that we met. Like he's been I only found out since he got in touch, but he's been a long time sort of follower of the vids and always wanted to travel himself. And then not until I caught up with you guys about the build on this, and then figuring out you had a chef on one of your trips out to Fink, and then talking to him. And it's just funny how it's such a small world, that 7 degrees of separation or whatever. Like everyone sort of knows someone, but it's good. And I've been kept in touch with him, and he come up. Not long ago, we went out for a fish when he had a day off. And he showed me another bit of a fancy recipe out on the boat.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll catch up with him when we go to hang out, and probably when I come and get the canopy on, I'll see him again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
but he's
awesome.
A good fella, eh? Like you
he's got some stories, old Ant too.
Oh, mate, some wicked stories about, just what a life. Cooking for celebrities overseas. And famous people and stuff, yeah. But it's nice to, and we've talked about it before, is just surrounding yourself with good people, like-minded people that are just good. You don't have to worry about their agenda or anything like that. They're just good people, and you're just like, yeah, this is sick. It just makes every trip better.
I definitely agree there. It's like, and it's happening in my life at the moment as well. It's almost the circle gets smaller, but the people in it are just the ones that you want in your corner all the time. And as we've grown as a business even as well, you sort of see that. You see which ones are sticking around, through the good times, the hard times, and there for support no matter what. And I'm sure, it's like that in private life as well, not just business. So.
Yeah, no, it is. You got to feel them out and sort of you weed it out. Weed out the Klingons or the ones that aren't providing any benefit to you, or not benefit, but you know what I'm saying. They're not enriching your life in any way. So you're sort of just like, well, I've got better things to do with my short time on this planet. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the outback with Chef, and I'm sure some of that footage will come out one day. But we have beef tartare and sashimi in the middle of a 1 million acre property in the middle of Australia. It was pretty special. Yeah. But what did he feed you out on the boat?
Oh, we had grand plans of catching like a nice big Spanish mackerel and going into this, mooring up in this creek for the night and cooking a fish laksa. And it was his idea. He's like, I do this mean laksa. I'm like, sick. But lucky I packed.
All you got to do is catch a fish.
Yeah. And I was pretty confident, but we come up donuts, but I snuck some frozen trout fillets away in the boat fridge. So we got them out when I figured out like we're having a shit time here. We're not going to catch anything. I defrosted them and we put the trout in the luxor, and it was good, mate. Yeah, I will. Well, that full recipe will be in the vid when I put it out. But if you like curry and fish curries especially, you got to try it. It's like just amazing. I cooked it for the wife and some friends when we got home as well, and everyone was just like, "Man, that's just like insane." Yeah, and so simple. Awesome. You know, you learn such from people of like his experience and his like the quality of his chefery or whatever you call it. You know, just simple tips and tricks of how to cook stuff and little fresh ingredients can just change like a mundane dish into something crazy. And it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to learn off him.
It's exactly that. I couldn't believe what he brought to the middle of Australia in 2 fridges or something. I think he had control of. There was a few freezers kicking around for a big crew. Yeah. The quality, I don't know whether it was just because we were in the middle of Australia and I was hungry, but the quality of that food, and I'm like, how? There was a lot of prep before the trip, but just, again, like you said, just like do a little bit of prep, and it doesn't have to be slaving away in the kitchen for 4 hours to get that meal, you know. It can still be a quick half an hour prep or something like that, throw it in a slow cooker or throw it on a fire or something like that. And I think that's the difference with good food, and when you just have the right ingredients and know what you're doing, it definitely makes a difference. So,
and you don't underestimate what it can do for your whole trip. You know, like we had a shit arvo fishing and we were like a bit bummed, and then we cooked this up and we were just like had the best arvo and night ever because we'd sat there and just were so happy with how good the food was that we forgot about not catching anything. It was cool. Yeah. So it's the same with other stuff I've cooked on the fire and stuff before too. If you can finish the day with like something pretty awesome, it just changes your whole experience. I love it. I love food, eh? Far out, yeah.
As long as it's not going to rain on you and drain you out for the night, it should be a good night ahead.
Should be all right. Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. Good old chef.
On that, on the trip that you caught up with him in the Chevy, I know it was a trip after that. I saw you went away with the family and something about a cow licking the brand new Chevy black paintwork. How did that fare?
Yeah, you could probably see it here. There's a couple of scuffs on the front here. There was one with he's had his horns were growing back through. They'd been dehorned, obviously, but I don't know if it's. I think a lot of people told me it's because they can see the reflections in the black paint, like because it was so new, it was a bit shiny and everything. But we pulled up at this hip camper and then wandered to the top of the hill for the lookout, and sort of didn't turn around until we got halfway up. And we turned around, there was probably, I don't know, a dozen or so cows all around it. Just looking at it, they're licking it and like rubbing themselves on it. And they managed to, the tailgate was down. They managed to the tailgate, shut the tailgate. They pulled pulled the trailer plug out of the connector. Must have been chewing on that. And then, just like you walk down the side of it and there was just all these tongue prints all over it.
That's gold.
But they all come out except for this little scratch here from a bloody shorthorn. But yeah, whatever. It is what it is, though.
No, that's awesome.
You'll get worse than that going down a couple of bush tracks to the beach.
Oh, mate, it's going to happen. These things are too big for those tracks, everyone says. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Well, I haven't found it too much of a drama yet, to be honest. I sort of, like I said, they don't drive as big as they look. It's it's weird.
A bit deceiving.
It is deceiving. And you will. It's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they are a bit wider, so you're going to scratch them going down tracks and shit. But we did it on that same trip. We went to another spot where you had to drive in this bit of a crazy track for a hip camp anyway. And it was all right. Like there's stuff hanging over, but it's just gum trees and leaves and stuff. Yeah. It's not nothing that's giving you too much of a touch up. Nah. So no, it did well. Towing. I'm surprised. Well, not surprised. I knew it'd tow well, but I didn't think like off road how easily it tows and sort of how manoeuvrable we were going through some tight sort of creek crossings and that sort of thing, and just made it easy. Did it real easy. So. It
nice.
Gives you confidence, you know.
The amount of torque in that engine, when it just sort of crawls and just does its thing.
Yeah, especially in low range. Yeah, the hardest part was finding out how to put it in to low range and four-wheel drive. That was it. I was like, where is this damn thing? But other than that, you just
the neutral part to get it into
Yeah, I can't even remember now. Neutral, I think. Yeah. But
that's gold.
No, it was good.
Where's that button? It's not like the old 79, mate, looking for the second gear stick in the bottom.
No manual shift anymore. No.
You have to get out and lock those hubs. Fancy.
Nah, it was good. Real good.
Yeah, cool. Oh, well, jumping, obviously, yeah, me seeing through you on social media and you guys being on the road for that full 7 years, like you said, I'm keen to hear a little bit. I see a new drone from DJI comes out every week by the looks of it. It's almost like when a new phone comes out, there's a new piece of camera technology or drone and things like that. How's that sort of evolution been, and what sort of gear have you used along the way?
Yeah, there's been heaps of stuff, and a lot of it's changed rapidly since we left. I know
Yeah.
GoPros didn't even have like the image stabilization when we left, so
Yeah,
I
okay.
can't remember what number it was, but now they've got hypersmooth or whatever in them.
Yeah.
So I remember the first couple of times we ever tried to film in the car,
Bouncing
and it was
around,
on a
carrying on.
mount. Oh, it was shocking. And then even because it's bouncing around on the mount, you can hear it in the microphone as well. It's tapping and carrying on. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of early stuff from like 2016, 2017 and that is actually, we couldn't use any of it. Like it's just too loud and shaky and all that. So GoPros have changed heaps. They'd only just bought out the Phantom, the DJI Phantom 3. They used to come in like a big backpack, big white thing with four solid legs.
I used to buy one every year to go fishing, mate, to launch. That was a good one to take the bait out the back of the Fraser. So.
Yep, that's the ones. Yeah.
Big solid
but you had
things.
To unscrew the props each time you put it away and have this big, huge remote on it and all that. And then, everything's changed heaps, eh? But we've always kept it simple, just as in, sort of that base level stuff. Like I've only ever used GoPros. I've got a Sony camera for taking photos and stuff, and occasionally doing a bit of nice like low light footage or night photos and that. And then just like an intermediate drone. So we've had the Phantom, and then we've had a Mavic. And then, what's annoying about those things though, like you say, they upgrade them all the time. I had a Mavic too, and it's still awesome, but the batteries, I've used it that much that the batteries have started to swell. And then because they've swollen, they won't click into the body of the drone. So now I've got no batteries for it, and you can't buy batteries for it because they've phased it out. So I've got this perfectly good drone, but I had to go and I just got it a couple of weeks ago, just the Mavic Air. Like it seems the best value for money, that Mavic Air 3. Sort of don't need all the high cinematic, like 100 megapixel cameras and stuff or whatever. You just get the ones with all the functions and features. It seems to be the best value. But it's annoying, same with your phones and whatever else. They keep upgrading them and phase out the software, so you have to buy a new one. Yeah.
I know, phones is just the best example, just how crazy they're getting now. You can take some pretty good content without needing all the fancy stuff. So
yeah, no, absolutely. We use our phone quite a bit actually. Pretty much predominantly social media stuff is all shot on iPhones. And then like for reels and all that sort of stuff. But then a lot of the images are either drone or on a Sony, just because they're just a lot better image, obviously, for trying to upload to socials. It retains that quality. But you can do so much just with your phones now. Yeah.
Are you filming and sharing differently now, or like this time around, more for yourselves, the kids, or are you still focused on that YouTube audience? Has there been a bit of a shift there between filming for what's going to get the views or just filming for what's going to be good content for you and the fam?
Yeah, no, pretty much just what's good for us, mate. Like I think the only way to enjoy it long term and like still want to do it is to do what you want to do and not be focused on trying to get clicks and views and that sort of thing. Like it's a catch-22 because you want to get as many views as you can, I suppose, if you're trying to make a go of it, because that's how you get funded by YouTube from your Google ads, right? So the more views you get that see that ad, the more YouTube revenue you make. But you see, I think it's a bit of a pitfall in the last few years. A lot of people have just gone down the road of clickbaiting thumbnails and G-bangers and sort of cleavage shots and stuff. And like that's all
Boobs
great,
and
but
bums.
it's boobs and bums, but it's all the flash in the pan stuff, and then people, and then the other thing is even you got 90% of your viewers who go to that because of your boobs and bums clickbait will just scan through your whole video without watching it just to try and see the part where that thumbnail image is, right? So you've got no genuine audience that's going to support you in any way other than trying to find your bum crack. Yeah. But we just do what suits us and our family, mate. You can't, especially with kids and things like that, you sort of, you got to respect everyone's wishes. And like we've never pushed anything on them or made them like do anything scripted or anything like that. It's just like if you come along the trip, and like early on they were just the kids have no idea, they're so raw and unfiltered, and they just happy to do anything. And then as they get older and they become more self-aware and self-conscious, and they go to school and they know that other people have opinions and views and other people can watch them and things like that, then it becomes a bit different for them. So it's like, wow, they're still happy to come along on the trips, but they don't want to be like, I don't know, they don't want to be as involved anymore. So we just sort of take that away and make it more informative. We go on our holiday trips and go, oh, well, this is the campsites we're going to, this is the tracks, this is how you get there, this is how much it costs, like just more informative stuff. So steer it in a way that we can enjoy our trips without taking a shitload of time to create content, because that's really not what it's all about. It's about, we figured out a way to be able to do the trips and make it fun and still video it without it feeling like a chore. And like you could go and do a lot better job and get more cinematic footage and better audio and set shots and lighting and all this stuff, but it would suck ass for the rest of the family because it's becoming a whole production rather than let's just go and have a week away in the van. So we just do what suits us, and then it always ends up coming out all right, you know. And you just got to keep it fun to watch, and more so fun for all us to be on the trip. Otherwise, you won't go away.
Yeah, I suppose you pretty much just answered that question. I was going to say, like, I got two teenage boys, Denver and Will. They're 13 and 15 this year. And even just watching how they use social media, obviously we haven't been on the road. It's a whole different sort of setup around town. But then, like you said, with school, with kids, like I think one of them deleted everything off his Instagram one week and next minute he's into a different hobby or something. And then they pop up. And the way kids use social media these days with the Snapchat and that, like I can't keep up. I'm sure you can't with yours either now. But it's, it's crazy on how they use it. But then I sort of just thought while you're talking then about how much footage you're going to have of the kids that hasn't made that cut for YouTube that could be cut into something really cool for you and your family. And when the kids are grown up to look back on that footage as well, which would be pretty special. So keep that, mate. Don't delete that footage. That's for sure. So
no, we've got a sick photo album. That's for sure. Yeah. It's
awesome.
We always think about, I sort of had, my grandparents used to do like a slide night once a year on the old rotary slide thing up on an old projector or whatever. And now like our slide night's going to be like, you can scroll back through old YouTube episodes of like trips we've done and that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And have the kids got a favourite place that they've been to so far around Australia? And are each kid different, or are they all sort of unanimous on the one vote, or what's the go there?
Yeah, no, they're all pretty... they're all about the same. Hey, it's all coastal stuff. And it's mainly
tell by the hair.
Well, and west is best. Everyone knows that, and that's like for traveling anyway. And that's the kids all love the west coast and like the inland part of it, Caravanning and that. So you get those. They love it. Anything that sticks with our kids is like where you've got an adventure to get there. So like, so you do a cool hike and a walk and sort of scale a few cliff faces to get to a cool waterfall jump or that, something like that. Like on the Gibb River Road, you know, you're full driving and corrugating and blowing tyres and then camping in the middle of nowhere, and then you hike in sort of 40 minutes to an hour to get to this unreal waterhole or something. They're the things that stick with them. And that's their favourite things. That, and then like the Exmouth coastline where they're jumping off the tinny, swimming on bombies with dolphins and fish. That's just awesome stuff. Yeah, just those one-of-a-kind experiences, I think, that really ingrain themselves in their memories, and they're like, yeah, that's our favourite places. But they got heaps. If they sit down and think about it, we ask sometimes, and they're like, oh, yeah, but what about this place? Oh, yeah, but what about this place? And you're like, oh, yeah, well, that was in South Australia. That one was in the Territory. Oh, that was up the Cape. Like, they love the Cape when we went to the temple. So they've sort of got them dotted all around the joint. Yeah. And they're all, a lot of them are different too. You're not just all the one sort of experience, which is cool.
Which is interesting though, because when you're planning a trip, I'm sure you're dropping a pin and it's the destination that you're thinking of. But like you just said then, it's the adventure of getting there that the kids are, that makes the most memories a lot of the time as well. So just because you can get to that place, just having that drone shot or whatever the, people might see of that destination, it's the, like you said, it's the tough challenge or having to chop a tree out of the way to get around that track, or Dad got bogged here or something like that along the way, that's more memorable than the beautiful destination at the very end all the time. So that's pretty cool to hear.
It is. Yeah, you feel like you've achieved something by getting there, Yeah, that's the good thing.
And with the Gibb River Road, finally tick that off. Was it everything you sort of imagined? Was it as hardcore as you thought, or what?
It wasn't as hardcore as I thought. Definitely rough. Like it's a very
Mhm.
shaly, corrugated road. Like it's definitely hard on the gear.
Yeah.
And I think if you weren't set up right, like we'd had like a fair few years traveling to research it and see all the horror stories like of different gear. Like the years before we'd been through to like Kununurra and Broome and never did the Gibb because we didn't really feel like we had the setup.
Yeah.
And we'd see it at either ends. Like every afternoon in Kununurra, there'd be another tilt tray come into the van park with another whatever van on the back, and one of the axles is busted out of it and the leaf springs has failed and all that. So you sort of all those things stuck with me, especially with a like mechanical background. Going, all right, it's obviously pretty punishing this track, like, and it's. You might jag it on a week where you can just scoot through in a Commodore and a Jayco expander, like if they've just graded it, you can fly through and go, what's this all about? But when we were on it, it's sort of 600-700 Ks of pretty unrelentless hard shit. And the gear you have definitely makes it easier. So having, set up with good tyres, good suspension, especially on the van, having really quality suspension. Otherwise your stuff just shakes to bits. But we'd planned for a lot of years and we got through it unscathed, pretty much, yeah.
And speaking of the van, you did Osprey Bay looked unreal. 2 weeks is a long time off grid with the fam. How was the setup there? The good, the bad. Was there any big challenges? Be food or water or power or what?
No, it's a good one to sort of test your limits, I reckon. I don't know how you go trying to get a 2-week stay there anymore. It's pretty busy, but it's only sort of 40 minutes back into Exmouth. So as long as you got your battery power sorted with enough battery and solar, then you can always top up on water, food, empty your dump point and that sort of thing. But we always, in our off-grid vans, we try and set up so you've got about 10 days. So 10 days of water, 10 days of toilet, and then the battery setups we got these days are so easy to just keep yourself recharged pretty much no matter what. So as long as you got all those three, those ticked off, then it's pretty easy to, you generally run out of water before anything else. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I'm hearing that a lot with customers that are traveling on the road. It's the water that's the hard bit at the moment. Is there, like, when you say rejuvenate water or get more water, what does that look like?
Oh, like being able to leave your van where you are at your campsite and either use a bladder or like under the Norweld's always had like a 70-litre water tank. So you duck into the water fill point or whatever and into town to get more food, you'd always just top up your water tank, come back, and then just transfer it into your van. So then next time you're anywhere, you could fill up again. So a lot of the times there's different water stations around or something, you can always top up your water. But if you have to hook up your van to move it, that's where it becomes a real hassle. So being able to have that extra water storage and that transferable sort of option, that makes a big difference. Yeah.
And the one no one wants to talk about, is there a couple cassettes in there for a big family when it comes to the number twos or what?
We do. Well, I carry 3. So
three cassettes for the big family. There you go.
Yeah. Because you only really, if everyone's using it, a lot of the time, if you're at like remote campsites and stuff, the boys will we outside obviously, but if we're at a campground where everyone's using it, you really only get about 3 days out of a toilet cassette. So then you get about 9-10 days out of 3 of them if you're lucky. Yeah.
What's are the kids old enough to get that duty on board now? Is that part of the chores?
I wouldn't be that mean to give it to them. Nah, it's the shit job, mate. And I just literally, but you just, I wouldn't. It's also gross and grubby, and I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I'm like, I don't want my kids anywhere near that. I'm like, I'll do it properly and and I know how to do it safely. I don't want to. You could get Crook off some of that gear, I reckon. But I think we're going to try something different, we're going to in the next sort of layout and setup in a caravan. We're going to try a different style dunny. So stay tuned for that. But
keen. When's so there's a new van on order. When's that due?
Oh, we're just finalising plans. So we work with Lotus for a while now. They're in that sort of era, or most caravan manufacturers are, where they're changing technology a lot, different layouts, different materials, different features and customizable options and all that. So they got all this new range out and stuff. So we're lucky we're in a position that we can sort of just swap vans over and sort of design sort of new stuff that we think's good, plus get to try out all their new stuff. So it's pretty cool, pretty lucky. But it's
evolving quickly, the whole van industry, and it's one that, especially in the 12-volt side, I think from me looking outside in, used to have a few Lotuses actually that I used to hire out. I called it my gap year from this industry, and hired a few Lotus vans out and sent them out with people out on the road, and having to get those calls saying, this is the cabinet's busted here, or we forgot to lock this one, so that one's swung open on the road. So you know what a van is when you start hiring them out to other people that don't necessarily know what they're doing with them, that's for sure.
Yeah, things you think that no one could ever break, they will break.
They'll break it.
Hopeless. Yeah, so that all probably in the next month or so, but it's been, we've always stuck with just the normal cassette toilet because it's easy and it works. And there's all these flash composting ones and other stuff, but I think there's one out now that suits us, so we're going to give it a razz. But anyway,
nice.
We'll let you know. It's not really a subject we like talking about. Like, come and check out our new toilet. We'll show you how to use it.
Yeah, but then again, it's exactly that. It's the one that you don't want to talk about. But when I'm sure if you cheap out or you do something wrong in that area, you smell it before you smell it, and you don't want to deal with it again. So it's an important one to get right as well. So
yeah. No, it's definitely, it's gross. I still don't like talking about it. Yeah.
All right. So you've obviously been to so many iconic Aussie spots. Is there anything on the Australian bucket list that you haven't done yet that you want to tick off?
It's part of Australia, sort of. I really want to go to Lord Howe Island. You ever heard of Lord Howe Island?
Yeah.
Funny story. Before we left to travel, I had a job interview with the board of Lord Howe Island as the island mechanic.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went through like a couple of different interviews, and I got down to the final two, and had this big Zoom call with I think there was 4 or 5 people from like the Lord Howe Island board or whoever sort of looks after all that stuff. And it's a cracking. I remember just all the questions they had about the mechanical stuff and the gear they had over there and generators. And I was sort of all around it from working in the mining industry and plant gear. And I'm like, sick, I've got all this. Like, it's so easy. Like, the gear they've got's awesome, and I'll be able to fix it all. And I knew all the questions, and I'm like, I've got this. So I even went home and told Beck, I said, I've nailed that. Like, we're moving to Lord Howe. And then they rang me the next day and said, oh no, the other fella got it. I'm like, oh fuck. But it worked out, whatever. We would never have probably gone traveling, but it would have been pretty
Everything
sick.
happens for a reason.
Yeah, but I've always, since then, and then it always pops up. I follow them on Instagram and stuff, and it just looks amazing. So that's pretty, I really want to do that. And there's still stuff like West Arnhem Land. I've never been up to that Coburg Peninsula, up that side, and I haven't done much of I've been to the tip, obviously, a few times of Cape York, but there's so much more to explore around sort of north of Weipa, that Pennyfather region, and then down Cape Melville, Cape Flattery, Portland Roads. There's just so much cool stuff up and down there, weather dependent. You just got to pick your good weather. And I reckon there's some real cool adventuring to be done there, not only in like the van, but like 4-wheel driving and taking a good boat up there and like doing a few 3 or 4 day missions up and down the coast to the rivers in there and that sort of thing. And then the Simpson, I went to the Simpson and the Canning Stock route. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, sort of more of those more remote experiences that'll probably, I've never done them because Beck's not interested. Like the wife, she does, I don't want to do that remote stuff where you just drive through the desert. But I reckon that'd be a real cool trip to do, just like with the boys or like with a couple of mates and that sort of thing. So there's a few trips I still want to do.
Might have to just hang up the phone, hang up the boots here for a couple of weeks, mate, and jump on the road with you, meet you up at East Arnhem Land or West Arnhem Land, whatever you said it was. That'd be great.
West, yeah. Done. So you go across that,
won't mind.
Cahill's Crossing, where all the crocodiles hang out. You heard of that one?
Yeah. I've been to Cahill's Crossing, but I haven't been over the other side of it.
So that's it. You got to drive across that and then go up that way.
There's a lot of crocs in that one. That's a famous spot for that. Have you had any crazy croc encounters other than like those sorts of areas?
No, not as in scary, as in close calls with them. We've seen a lot of them and seen some big ones, and while we've been out in the boat and stuff, but nothing scary. But again, you're well educated and you're careful, and you just don't get complacent with it. I think that's the biggest thing. People, you don't see one for a while when you're in Croc country and you forget that they're there. But yeah, you just got to keep reminding yourself, because it does happen. Hey, people get knocked over on them. So
yeah, you don't want to be on the other end of it. That's for sure. There's some shocking ones that hit the news now and then, and you don't want to be that statistic. That's for sure.
Nah, or your kids. Yeah.
Nah, horrible. Obviously, while traveling with the family on the road for 7 years, you obviously did some homeschooling with the kids. Is there still an element of homeschooling when you go on the road? Do you fall back into that, or how is it with being back in a school now? Is it real world learning now?
Oh, school's awesome, mate. Like, seriously, I think if the kids didn't have to go to school, we'd still be traveling. We'd still be on the road. It just gets too hard, too hectic, the workload and the actual subject matter. So I was having to Google stuff at night and try and learn what was in there, like grade 4, like stuff from school.
Grade 4 English. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could then try and what's a verb? What's a noun? You sort of know what they are, but then you can need descriptions of it's a doing word or a descriptive word or this and that. And you're like, I don't know. And then it got really hard. And then not only that, trying to do 3 different kids at 3 different levels of schooling and keep everyone sort of engaged was really hard.
Engaged.
Yeah, and actually so they'd retain stuff and learn. And we got to a point where we're just like, if we, your parents, your first number one job is to bring your kids up right and give them a good education and that. And we're like, well, we could just keep traveling around and not really care about school, and then they'll show up to school and be really behind. Or we put them in when we think, we can't further their education anymore ourselves, and get them in while they're still up here, not down here. And we picked it perfectly. So the first time they dropped into school, and then they get assessed and all that. And then after their first term of school, they were all up. The teachers all had great praise for them and didn't have to do any tutoring or extra work or stuff. So we sort of pat ourselves on the back for that we managed to get that 4 years of schooling, and we did it well enough, and put enough effort in to keep the kids where they're supposed to be in their stage of the curriculum. So, but we couldn't have managed it much longer. So we're pretty open and honest about that. It's hard, and it just we wouldn't have had enough time in the day to actually get through the workload of grade 4, 5 and 6s and stuff. We just wouldn't have been able to do anything. It would have been a strain on the travel and the family and the life, and just, it wouldn't have worked anymore. So we just realised that pretty early on and made the switch up and figured out where we're going to end up, and then get them into school, and it's worked out really good. But in saying that, it was awesome too. It was a great way to bring your kids up and be able to teach them all that. Like, it's things that there's not many parents would get the opportunity to go through and do all the flip cards and words and maths and everything. You know what I mean? Like, that's the teacher's job normally. From grade 1, your kids go off to school, you don't see them for 8 hours a day. We saw ours all day, every day until they were 10. Or it's crazy. So super stoked, but
definitely would have been hard. I know when we first started Big Dog Builds, Cam went on the road with his family for the full 2 years. He's got 2 now almost teenage girls, but at the time I know, there was regular check-ins, and I was learning it because I was on the other end of it here trying to deal with the kids in the workshop. But kids on the road and the struggles there with Cam and his family, he knows exactly where you're coming from when it comes back to putting them into a real school, as you'd call it, and then taking your hat off to those teachers as well. You have kids come home from school, what did you learn all day? And it's always a nothing. Well, my kids have been like that their whole schooling career. But and now you know how much effort those teachers actually put in and how much work they do. I think it'll be a new appreciation for that level of worker as well.
Absolutely. Hey, there's one thing that a lot of people, I reckon, don't think of, is the fact that when you're homeschooling, the amount you can get done in one-on-one time with your kids is, you can do it in an hour and it's equivalent to what they get taught in a whole day at school, because they've got 20 other kids the teachers are dealing with. There's always a couple of ratbag kids in the class that take up more time, you know what I mean? And then you got the good kids and so the teacher's time split between 20 kids. And I think our kids, I felt that they got a lot better learning experience having one-on-one teaching in short bursts rather than dealing with all the endless noise in a classroom. Yeah, but that's just my point of view. Yeah.
And you get that social aspect though, which I know a lot of the kids, if they're not the social kids around the campfire or seeing a lot of other people, having that sort of anxiety to be around other kids though, that I suppose there's pros and cons to that side of it as well with the kids on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And everyone's different.
Confidence builders.
Yeah. And it doesn't suit everyone either, like the life on the road's not for everyone. So you just got to realise what suits your family best and do that. Yeah.
What's the, I don't know whether you're the one to answer this one or Beck, but what's the biggest parenting win on the road? What's the highlight? What's the one where you're like, we did good?
I like the fact that we've got so much time with our kids, mate. Like you see, there's a few stats that you see thrown around on social media now and then that by the time your kids are 12, you've spent like the 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them by the time they're 12. And that's going on average, right? I think we've got to spend so much more time with our kids because of spending so long on the road and then not going to daycare and school and all that. So I think that's our biggest win, like you have kids to try and raise, I want to raise good kids and better humans and ones that have cool experiences and that sort of stuff. And I think I've ticked off a lot of those in the first short 12 years of their life. So that's a big win for me. And then I think Beck would say the same. And also that we put in the time and effort that they were able to fit back into a normal school so seamlessly, whether not only like academically, but socially, they're really up there and they're willing to put their hand up and try anything and have a go at everything. And they're really resilient and capable. And yeah, we're stoked that we've raised such good kids. So that's probably a parenting win, but life on the road's given us that too, because we've had such an unstressful time of, just exploring and adventuring with them and having fun all the time without all the being on the rat race and the 9 to 5 grind. It's enabled us to enjoy them a lot more. Yeah,
I think that's pretty bloody awesome, mate.
Yeah,
I think you nailed it on the head there. And it comes down to everyone's busy in their life. Whether you've got the truck, whether you've got the basic setup, time with those kids is definitely you can't get it back again. So book that holiday, book that weekend away, go for a walk on a weekend with them, and spend time because you only get one chance at it. And that's pretty cool, mate. Pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, no, thanks. It's you're not often you sit back and reflect on that sort of stuff, but that's it. Cool. It's good. Very grateful.
Well, Justin Lorimer, TripInAVan, that is the end of this chat today, mate. Really appreciate you getting on for tonight. And it was great to hear a few different insights that I haven't heard from your story. And I'm sure a few other people have been keen to hear the same side, mate. So I really appreciate it. I have to come up there and have one of those zero alcohol beers with you.
I know. 4 months going. Yeah, on the zeros. Thanks for having me, Dino. Appreciate it. And we'll catch up soon for sure.
No worries, mate.
I'm sure I'll hear from you in the next few days about booking this in for the next sort of stage 2. And then
we've got a stage 2.
Stage
2 coming soon. Let's get it down here and get it happening, mate. I'm keen to see that next iteration of this big Chevy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can get started planning the Canning stock route and Lord Howe Island.
Keep writing them down, mate. Yeah, Canning stock route. Cam, we're going to need some time off, mate.
I reckon. Bring Cam. Cam can come too.
Cam can come too. You got the invite.
Yeah.
We're off. I don't know what's going to happen with the shed, but
sorted. All right, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
See you later.
All right, guys. If you've liked this video here, check this one out. And to see these things boogie up the beach, this season here is one to watch as well.